Lesson 5, Common Factors in a Polynomial. So what a polynomial means is that it's made up of many terms. So in the following polynomial, this is your first term, this is your second term, and this is your third term. So when you have 3 terms, it's called a trinomial. When you have 2 terms, it's called a binomial. So when you have many terms, it's a polynomial. So when you're factoring a polynomial that looks like this, what you're going to do is you're going to factor out the common term. So what we need to do is we need to find the greatest common factor between all of these numbers. So we have negative 12. That's the same as 2 times 2 times 3. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12. We have 2 x's and we have 2 y's. Negative 20. Oops, I guess I could write the whole term. X squared, y squared. Negative 20, xy squared is the same as 2 times 2 times 5. 2 times 2 is 4, times 5 is 20. We have 1x and 2 y's. And negative 16x squared, y squared is 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. We have 2 x's and we have 2 y's. Now all of these terms are negative, so one of our terms has to be a negative 2. Now when we take out a GCF on this, we're going to look for our greatest common factor in our numbers as well as our variables. So we have a negative 2 is common in all of them. So GCF is equal to negative 2. We also have another 2. So 2 is similar again. So 2 times 2. We don't have a 3 left over, we don't have a 5, and we don't have any more 2's. So that's it for numbers. Now we have 1x common, 1x common, 1x common here, so times by x. Because we don't have another x in all 3, we only have one x in common. Now we do our y's. So we have a y, and a y, so times y, and we have another y in all 3 of the variables. So our GCF would be negative 4xy squared. So this is the biggest term that goes into all of the terms in our polynomial. So the more you do this, the quicker you'll be able to see that you have one x in common and 2 x's in common. But don't feel bad about having to write it out like this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to divide each term by our GCF. So we're going to divide this term by negative 4xy squared, this term by negative 4xy squared, and this term by negative 4xy squared. So that means you're factoring it out. Then we are going to write it as one multiplication sentence. So we have negative 4xy squared is the factored term in front. In the brackets, we will have the what happens or what is left when you divide. So a quick way for you to see this, if you've done it like I have, is anything that is left over will be what's left over in the brackets. So negative 12x squared y squared divided by this will be 3 and an x. Another way you can do this is negative 12 divided by negative 4 is 3. X squared divided by x, remember we subtract our exponents, is 1x, and the y squareds will cancel each other out. Next we do our next term. So we can see from our factoring that all we're left with is a positive 5. So 20 divided by 4 is 5, x's cancel, y's cancel. And our last term will have 2 times 2 times x, so 4x. And if you take 16 divided by 4, you get 4. X squared divided by x is 1x, and the y squared's canceled. So this is our final factored polynomial. So really all it's doing is you're taking out a term to make everything smaller. And the last thing we can do, because we have common terms in here, is we can collect like terms. So we have a 4x and a 3x. So this can be written as negative 4xy squared bracket 4 plus 3 is 7x plus 5. So this is your final polynomial once it's simplified. For the next one, we want to find our greatest common factor between the numbers. So 5xy is easy. It breaks it down to 5 times x times y. 15x squared y breaks down to 3 times 5 times x times y. 35xy cubed breaks down to 5 times 7 times x times y times y times y. So we want to find our GCF, and if you can see quickly, it's going to be 5. And we have one x in common and one y in common. So we're going to take our polynomial and we're going to divide everything by 5xy. So 5xy comes out in front, and inside the brackets these all cancel, so anything divided by itself is 1, and you can also see if there's nothing left over, you will be left with 1. 15x squared y divided by 5xy is 3 and an x, and of course you can see that by 15 divided by 5 is 3, x squared divided by x is x, and the y's will cancel. 35xy cubed divided by 5xy, you'll be left with a 7y squared. So 35 divided by 5 is 7, x's cancel, and you'll have y3 minus 1 is 2. So this is your final factored polynomial, and it can't get any smaller.